My wife's hand slams against my shoulder blade, jarring me from sleep at 6 in the morning. "The company party," she announces, breathing excitement into my ear like poison. 3 weeks away. You're coming. Not a request. Never a request with Sarah anymore. She springs from bed with the energy of someone who has discovered treasure, already reaching for her phone to scroll through dress websites. The glow illuminates her face in sharp angles, highlighting the calculating expression I've grown to recognize. This corporate celebration means more to her than our anniversary did last month, when she spent exactly 12 minutes selecting a restaurant and wore the same black dress she'd worn to her sister's funeral. For days, she talks of nothing else. Regional managers flying in from Chicago, district executives making appearances, the contract that will change everything for her marketing department. She drops names like breadcrumbs, hoping I'll follow her trail of ambition. Marcus will be there, she mentions casually while examining lipstick shades. The new regional manager. Very influential, very connected. I nod, pretending not to notice how her voice caresses his name. The transformation begins 2 weeks before the event. Suddenly, our bedroom becomes a fashion laboratory. Dresses emerge from shopping bags like battle armor, each one more expensive than the last. She models them for herself, not for me, studying her reflection with the intensity of a general preparing for war. Which one makes me look more professional? She asks, though professional seems like the wrong word for the black cocktail dress that hugs her body like silk wrapped around dynamite. The warning signs flash like neon. The extra time spent perfecting her makeup routine. The new perfume that costs more than our mortgage payment. The way she practices conversations in the mirror, adjusting her posture and her smile until both become weapons of charm. The evening arrives with crystalline December air and my wife vibrating with anticipation. She emerges from our bathroom transformed, hair swept into elegant curves, makeup applied with surgical precision, wearing that black dress like a second skin. Beautiful, dangerous, completely foreign to the woman who used to laugh at my terrible jokes and steal fries from my plate. The venue overwhelms with its grandeur. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow patterns across marble floors polished to mirror brightness. An open bar stretches along one wall, staffed by young men in crisp white shirts who pour drinks with theatrical flair. Round tables draped in white linen to space like islands of opportunity. Sarah's metamorphosis completes the moment we step inside. Her spine straightens. Her smile widens into something practiced and predatory. She scans the room with hunter's eyes, cataloging faces and measuring their potential value. There he is, she breathes, spotting Marcus near the bar. Regional manager. Tall, silver-haired, expensive suit. The man who holds her future in his manicured hands. She disappears before I can blink, gliding across the floor like a shark cutting through warm water. I watch her approach him with calculated precision, close enough to command attention, distant enough to maintain mystery. Her laugh rings across the room, musical and perfectly timed. I find my position at a tall table near the wall, scotch in hand, settling into the role I've somehow been assigned, observer of my wife's performance. The ice cubes clink against glass as I lift a drink, the sound swallowed by jazz music and the murmur of corporate conversation. From this distance, I can see everything. How she tilts her head when Marcus speaks. How she touches his arm for exactly 3 seconds, long enough to register, brief enough to seem accidental. How her entire body becomes an instrument of persuasion, every gesture designed to leave an impression that will linger long after the night ends. The scotch burns smooth and familiar, but it cannot wash away the bitter taste of recognition. This is not my wife anymore. This is someone who has been studying the art of ambition and has chosen tonight to perform her masterpiece. I take another sip and prepare to watch the show. The executive chef appears like a flame cutting through smoke. Professional white stretched across broad shoulders, dark hair swept back from angular features, hands that move with the confidence of someone who commands respect in steel-wrapped kitchens. He carries himself with the quiet authority of a man who transforms raw ingredients into art. Sarah notices him before he's taken 3 steps into the room. Her conversation with Marcus dissolves mid-sentence. Her entire body pivots toward this new gravitational pull, leaving the regional manager standing alone with his half-finished story about quarterly projections. She doesn't apologize, doesn't excuse herself, simply abandons Marcus like yesterday's newspaper. I watch her approach the chef with predatory grace. The distance between them shrinks with each calculated step until she's standing close enough to count his heartbeats. Too close for strangers. Too close for married women. Close enough that her perfume mingles with the scent of kitchen herbs that clings to his uniform. "Your presentation tonight was absolutely magnificent," she purrs, her voice dropping to intimate frequencies. "I've never seen knife work quite like yours." Her fingers brush his forearm when she speaks. Lingering contact. Electric. Deliberate. The chef's wife materializes beside them like a storm cloud gathering strength. Petite woman with steel in her spine and fire in her dark eyes. She positions herself at her husband's shoulder, close enough to claim territory, without saying a word. Her gaze locks onto Sarah with the intensity of a sniper acquiring a target. I catch the chef's wife's eye across the room. Silent communication passes between us. Two people recognizing the same threat, understanding the same violation unfolding in real time. She nods almost imperceptibly. Allies in this battlefield of broken boundaries. Sarah continues her assault with surgical precision. "Tell me about your signature techniques," she breathes, leaning closer until her shoulder almost touches his chest. "I'm fascinated by creativity in the kitchen." The double meaning drips like honey laced with venom. A colleague materializes at Sarah's elbow. Thin man with calculating eyes and a smartphone raised like a weapon. He begins recording, capturing every inappropriate gesture, every boundary crossed, every moment that transformed professional networking into something darker. The red recording light blinks steadily, documenting evidence that will reshape everything. "The expansion plans for the restaurant group," Sarah continues, her questions becoming increasingly personal, increasingly invasive. "Do you ever work late hours? Long sessions perfecting your craft?" The chef shifts uncomfortably, professional politeness warring with obvious discomfort. His wife's jaw tightens like a steel trap ready to spring. "Actually," the chef's wife interrupts, her voice sharp enough to cut glass, "my husband has a very demanding schedule. We prefer to keep business discussions during business hours." Sarah's laugh tinkles like broken crystal. "Of course. I just appreciate culinary artistry, the passion that goes into creating something truly exceptional." Her hand finds his arm again. This time, his wife steps forward. "Perhaps," the chef's wife says, each word deliberate as hammer strikes, "you should focus on appreciating your own husband's artistry." The air crackles with tension. Other guests begin to notice the confrontation brewing. Conversation slow. Heads turn. The colleague with the camera captures everything, his device drinking in the drama like a digital vampire. Sarah's cheeks flush pink, but not with embarrassment, with excitement, the thrill of being challenged, of being seen as dangerous enough to warrant such fierce protection. She thrives on this attention, feeds on the chaos she's creating. "I'm simply being friendly," Sarah replies, her voice carrying across the room with theatrical innocence. Networking is so important in professional environments. The chef's wife steps closer, close enough that her words reach only Sarah's ears. But her expression speaks volumes to everyone watching. Pure contempt wrapped in civilized restraint. The colleague lowers his phone, satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. Whatever he captured tonight will travel far beyond this room, rippling through corporate corridors and professional networks like wildfire. I finish my scotch and signal for another. The real show is just beginning. The alcohol transforms Sarah from predator into something far more dangerous, a woman with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Her third glass of champagne disappears faster than the first two combined, liquid courage flowing through her veins like gasoline feeding flames. She returns to the chef with renewed aggression, abandoning all pretense of subtlety. Her hand settles on his shoulder with possessive familiarity, fingers spreading across the white fabric of his jacket, like she's claiming territory. The professional distance he struggled to maintain crumbles under her relentless advance. "You must have such strong hands," she declares, her voice carrying across nearby tables. "All that chopping, all that precision work." Her friend Jessica emerges from the crowd like a shark drawn to blood in the water. Blonde hair perfectly arranged, lips painted crimson, eyes glassy with wine and opportunity. She slides up beside me with predatory grace, her perfume announcing her arrival before her words do. "Your wife certainly knows how to make an impression," Jessica murmurs, pressing closer than friendship requires. Her breath carries hints of Cabernet and ambition, leaves a girl wondering what other talents run in the family. Her fingers trail across my forearm, mirroring Sarah's technique with surgical precision. Two women, one strategy, different targets. I watched Jessica's performance with detached fascination, recognizing the choreography Sarah must have taught her. Across the room, Sarah's fourth approach to the chef crosses every remaining boundary. Her hand finds his bicep, squeezing with obvious appreciation. Such definition. She breathes loud enough for his wife to hear every syllable. You must work out between shifts. The chef's wife reaches her breaking point. She positions herself between Sarah and her husband like a human shield, her small frame radiating enough fury to power the entire building. "That's enough," she declares, her voice cutting to the jazz music and corporate chatter, like a blade through silk. The colleague with the camera moves closer, capturing the confrontation from multiple angles. His device records Sarah's hand still resting on the chef's arm, the wife's protective stance, the crowd beginning to gather around the brewing storm. Enough of what? Sarah asks with manufactured innocence, but her grip on the chef's arm tightens. "We're just discussing culinary techniques." "You're discussing harassment," the chef's wife snaps back. "Professional, sexual, and completely inappropriate harassment." The word harassment detonates like a bomb across the party. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Glasses pause halfway to lips. The jazz, quartet, might as well be playing for tombstones. Sarah's laughter rings out sharp and bitter. Harassment? I'm networking, making connections, building relationships that matter. She turns to Jessica with theatrical flair, her voice rising to ensure maximum audience participation. "Unlike some people, I understand how to advance in this world, how to make things happen, how to grab opportunities when they present themselves." Jessica responds on cue, her words slicing through the tension like a scalpel. "Absolutely. Women who know their worth don't settle for mediocrity. They go after what they want, regardless of obstacles." The colleague's camera captures everything. Sarah's possessive grip on the chef, Jessica's pointed glance in my direction, the wife's protective fury, the gathering crowd of witnesses. Evidence accumulating with every frame. The regional manager Marcus approaches with measured steps, his expression unreadable. Behind him, security personnel move into position near the exits. The colleague whispers something urgent into Marcus's ear, showing the recorded footage on his phone screen. Sarah notices none of this. She's too intoxicated by her own performance, too drunk on attention and imagined power to recognize the trap closing around her. "Some people," she continues, her voice carrying to every corner of the room, "are too comfortable with average, too satisfied with safe, too weak to take risks." Her eyes find mine across the crowded space, and she delivers her final line with the precision of an executioner's axe. Good thing I'm not tied down to that kind of thinking anymore. The words hang in the air like smoke from a discharged weapon. Jessica nods approvingly, already reaching for my hand in anticipation of Sarah's liberation. I set down my empty glass and prepare to respond. Jessica's hand tightens on my arm, like a vice claiming its prize. "Well," she purrs, loud enough to carry across the silent room, "if you're not tied down anymore, then I'd grab you in a heartbeat." The words detonate across the party like grenades thrown into a funeral. Every conversation dies. Every glass freezes mid-sip. Even the jazz quartet falters, their instruments trailing off into uncomfortable silence. This is my moment. Not the moment I planned, but the moment Sarah orchestrated with her own destruction. I step away from Jessica's grip and walk to the center of the room with deliberate precision. My footsteps echo against marble floors like a countdown to judgment. 30 pairs of eyes track my movement, sensing the shift in atmospheric pressure that precedes storms. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce my voice carrying the authority of a man who has nothing left to lose and everything to gain. I believe you've all witnessed something extraordinary tonight. Sarah's face drains of color faster than champagne from a shattered glass. For the first time all evening, she seems to understand that she's miscalculated catastrophically. You've watched my wife spend an entire evening sexually harassing a married professional chef. I continue, each word carefully chosen for maximum impact. You've heard her publicly declare that she's no longer tied down to our marriage. I gesture toward Jessica, who suddenly looks like she wants to disappear into the marble floor. And you've heard her friend announce her intention to grab me in a heartbeat the moment my wife liberates herself. The silence grows so thick it could be carved with a knife. Marcus steps forward, his phone displaying the colleagues' recorded evidence, his face gray with the weight of corporate liability. Sarah, Marcus announces, his voice carrying the finality of an execution order. Your behavior tonight constitutes serious violations of our harassment policies and professional conduct standards. The chef moves protectively closer to his wife, his arm encircling her shoulders while his eyes burn with justified anger. I've tried to maintain professionalism, he states clearly, but your employee has created a hostile environment that my wife and I will not tolerate. Security personnel materialize at Sarah's elbows like bookends framing her downfall. Professional, courteous, and absolutely implacable. Ma'am, the lead security officer announces, you're being asked to leave the premises immediately. Sarah's mouth opens and closes like a fish drowning in air. This is ridiculous, she stammers, but her voice lacks conviction. I was networking, building relationships, doing my job. Your job, Marcus replies with surgical precision, does not include sexually harassing vendors or creating liability exposure for this company. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. The words slam into her like physical blows. Terminated, fired, blacklisted, her career dissolving faster than sugar and acid. I raise my voice to address the assembled crowd one final time. Since my wife has publicly announced her availability and her friend has expressed such enthusiastic interest in replacing her, I want everyone here to witness my response. The room holds its collective breath. Sarah, I'm filing for divorce tomorrow morning. You've made your choices public, so I'm making mine equally public. No reconciliation, no second chances, no mercy. Her legs buckle slightly. Jessica backs away from me like I've suddenly burst into flames, her opportunistic advance crumbling into panic retreat. You can't do this, Sarah whispers, but her voice carries no authority anymore. Not over one mistake. Not over one evening. This wasn't a mistake. I reply with calm finality. Mistakes are accidental. Everything you did tonight was deliberate, calculated, and witnessed by 30 people with smartphones. Security begins escorting her toward the exit, her heels clicking against marble like a funeral dirge. The crowd parts before them like the Red Sea, creating a corridor of shame that will follow her long after tonight ends. The chef's wife approaches me as Sarah disappears through the doors. Thank you, she says simply, her voice carrying the weight of genuine gratitude. For standing up, for speaking truth. I nod, watching through windows as Sarah stands alone on the sidewalk, her perfect evening transformed into perfect destruction. The Real accounting begins tomorrow. The parking lot confrontation arrives like an inevitable storm. Sarah materializes beside my car as I exit the building, her perfect makeup now streaked with tears and mascara, her designer dress wrinkled from the security escort. She looks like a fallen angel who's just discovered gravity. Please, she begins, her voice stripped of all pretense and calculation. We need to talk. We can fix this. It was just one bad night. I unlock my car with deliberate calm, letting the electronic beat punctuate the silence between us. One bad night. I repeat, tasting the words like poison. Is that what you're calling sexual harassment, public humiliation, and announcing your availability to replace me? She steps closer, desperation radiating from her like heat from a furnace. I had too much to drink. I made mistakes. But we're married. We have history. We have a future. I correct her, opening the driver's door like I'm opening a coffin lid. Past tense. We had a marriage. until you decided to auction it off to the highest bidder in front of 30 witnesses. Her hands shake as she reaches toward me, then fall to her sides when I step away. You can't throw away 7 years over one evening. People make mistakes. People forgive. People work things out. The streetlight illuminates her face in harsh angles, revealing the desperation she's trying to hide. But desperation isn't the same as remorse. Even now, she's calculating angles, searching for leverage, hunting for the words that will manipulate me back into her web. Mistakes, I say, savoring the word's inadequacy, happen by accident. Tripping is a mistake. Forgetting an anniversary is a mistake. What you did tonight was a series of deliberate choices, each one more calculated than the last. She tries a different approach, her voice dropping to the intimate register she once used for seduction. I can make this right. I can get another job. We can move somewhere new. Start fresh. I laugh, and the sound cuts through the night air like breaking glass. Start fresh? Sarah, there's video evidence of everything you did tonight. That colleague recorded your entire performance. By morning, it'll be circulating through every professional network in the city. Her face crumbles as the full scope of her destruction becomes clear. The video, can't you ask them to delete it? Why would I do that? I ask, genuinely curious about her logic. Why would I help cover up the evidence of what you chose to become? Silence stretches between us like a chasm widening with each heartbeat. A car drives past, its headlights briefly illuminating the wreckage of our marriage scattered across asphalt and shadows. Where will I go? She whispers, and for the first time tonight, her question sounds genuine rather than manipulative. That's not my problem anymore. I reply, sliding into the driver's seat. You made your independence announcement public. Congratulations. You got what you wanted. I start the engine, letting it idle while she processes the finality of my words. Through the windshield, I watch her face cycle through the stages of grief at accelerated speed. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, all compressed into 30 seconds of realization. 3 months later, the divorce papers arrive with surgical precision. No alimony, no shared assets, no mercy. Her lawyer argues for reconciliation, but video evidence makes their case impossible. The footage is indeed circulated through professional networks, making her unemployable in her field. Jessica stopped returning her calls after the scandal broke. Fair-weather friendship evaporates faster than morning dew when scandal replaces opportunity. An envelope arrives on a Tuesday morning, handwritten address catching my attention. Inside, elegant stationery bears a simple message. Thank you for your courage that evening. It strengthened my marriage immeasurably. Some people deserve champions. Signed simply, Maria, the chef's wife. I fold the letter carefully and place it in my desk drawer next to the divorce decree. Evidence that sometimes justice arrives wearing a black cocktail dress and carrying its own destruction. Sometimes the best revenge is simply allowing people to become exactly who they choose to be, then stepping aside to let consequences find their address. The morning sun streams through clean windows, illuminating possibilities that stretch ahead like an open road.